Hey everybody, welcome on our channel. In this video we are gonna see, what if Naruto got expelled by Jedi and got Harem? Part 1. Huge shout out to fanwriter 10101 for this story. If you are new on the channel, don't forget to subscribe our channel and like the video too. So without wasting any more time, let's start the story. The Clone Wars have waged on for many years and many have died, Republican separatists alike, along with many innocent lives. Betrayals are bound to happen in a war of this size and scale, but some wrongly accused of, and one such man was a Jedi. Jedi Padawan Naruto, you have been accused of treason against the Jedi and the Republic. How do you plead? A small green alien asked the Padawan before him. His face was emotionless, his eyes were darker than the darkest oceans of Kamino, and his hair radiant than any sun. Not guilty. The Jedi Padawan said. We have evidence that you let your clone troopers die, knowing that they would die and thus costing us the entire battle. We lost the entire system and the whole fleet. Even the communications records point to that. Mace Windu, a Jedi master with dark skin, stated. Naruto kept his face emotionless, worrying the Jedi masters present there of his state. False accusations, my orders, that were issued, were different. The orders recorded in the logs are not mine. Naruto argued in a stoic tone. Again, the Jedi began to worry. His behavior had changed ever since the war began a few years ago. Your strange behavior has also been noted by the Order. You seem to be very detached from your emotions. A Jedi Master, Obi-Wan Kenobi, said as he ran his hand over his beard. With all due respect, Master Jedi, I am doing what the Jedi code stands for, there is no emotion or passion. Isn't that the code by which we Jedis live by? Naruto questioned, still with a stoic voice. The Jedi Masters looked to one another and then to the Grand Master of the Order, Yoda, who then nodded. They had reached their decision. Jedi Padawan Naruto, you are expelled from the Jedi Order. Your rank, position and all benefits under the Republic and the Jedi Order. Your lightsabers, if you will. Windu asked as he extended out his hand. As you wish, Masters, Naruto said, bowing down and giving his lightsabers. Windu then activated his lightsaber and cut off the braid of blonde hair that Naruto had, stripping of his rank as a Padawan. Looking back up, the Jedi Masters could see that boy's eyes were dead, like they had been for quite a while. Seeing that everything was concluded, Naruto turned around and left the chamber. Do you think that was the right thing to do? Kenobi asked as he stroked his beard. Clouded his future is, cannot be certain, we can. Yoda said as he went back to his deep thinking. But Naruto. Naruto gathered his belongings, he prepared to leave the temple. Stopping, he thought about it. Home, this temple was his home, his only home. He never had anything to begin with, no family, no friends, nothing. He had only, but the Order and the temple, now both of them were taken away from him. He knew why they expelled him rather than keep him in prison. He was weak compared to his colleagues, who had all became Jedi Knights by now, and he was still a Padawan. By their standards he was weak and letting him go wouldn't make any difference. Continuing with his packing, he gathered his belongings. They weren't much, just a few shirts and pair of pants and shoes. Getting up, he started to make his way out the temple. Naruto, wait. He turned around to find a young Togruta, a Padawan like himself. Stopping, she caught her breath. I heard what happened, did they really expel you from the Order? She asked. He could tell that she hoped that it wasn't true. Yes, he said it was true, he was expelled from the Order. No, the female Togruta said, as peaceful silence fell between them. Then she spoke. Maybe there was something wrong. A miscarriage of justice, or maybe somebody was behind this, it could have been. Thus she would have gone on if it wasn't for Naruto raising his hand, stopping her. Ahsoka, there is no point, once a Jedi has been expelled, they cannot return unless allowed to. Nothing happens by chance, remember, the Force works in mysterious ways. You should focus on your studies as a Padawan should. Goodbye, Ahsoka, he said, turning around and walking away. Ahsoka could not believe that he would rather throw away his chance for proving himself innocent. But how can you just stand by and be thrown out for crime you didn't even commit? You are my friend. Let me help you. Ahsoka yelled, stopping him in his tracks. Friend, we are Jedis, we do not make friends. You are not my friend, no one has ever been my friend, before and after joining the Order. You were but a comrade, like all those before you, he said as he started to walk away once more. Ahsoka once again was shocked at what he said, but when she thought about what he had said, was she really his friend? She only knew him for a brief amount of time. He was very detached, even back when they had worked with each other on the front line, but he always put the lives of his men and others before his. He had even taken many injuries when he had saved many of men's lives, it was like he wanted to kill himself. Did anyone even know the true Naruto, the one behind the Jedi? She knew she didn't. But Naruto. Exiting the temple, he looked back at the massive temple behind him. He had nowhere to go, no, there was one place he could go back to. Turning around, he made his way down the steps where his ship was waiting for him. A Republic frigate that he had bought with whatever money he had saved and parts he could find. The door opened and behind it was a battle droid, thought this one was different. Its coloring was light blue and yellow markings. "Ah, Master. I see that you have returned. I assume that everything went well?" The battle droid asked. "If by well you mean I am alive, then yes, everything went well," Naruto said as he boarded his ship, which slowly took off and shot into the sky. Walking through the halls of his ship, which were filled with battle droids walking about and keeping the ship secured, and all of them with the same coloring as the one before. These battle droids were different. He had captured a transport filled with deactivated droids of all kinds, 30 battle droids, 20 supers, 18 droidekas, and by luck 10 command droids. So he reprogrammed them with better programming than their default programming and made them serve him. Making his way up, he could hear the two droid pilots fighting each other. "No, you idiot. I said warm up the hyperdrive. Not shut it down," the main pilot said. "Warm it up. Check your sensors. You told me to shut it down," the co-pilot said. Naruto sighed. It was always like this. Why did these two have to fight each other? Entering the bridge, the droid pilots stopped fighting each other and saluted each other. "Welcome aboard, sir." The droids welcomed their commander. "Good to be on board," Naruto said in a tone like a droid would. He sat down on the captain's seat. "So where are we going, no sir?" the droid pilot asked. Naruto hummed as he looked onto the many stars in the galaxy. "Set course to Mandalore," Naruto said. "Roger, roger." The droids replied as they started to punch in the coordinates to Mandalore. Naruto looked towards the viewport to his left to find Coruscant down below him. "Entering hyperspace," the droid pilot said as the ship zoomed past the other ships with great speed and vanished. Naruto closed his eyes and let the force flow through him. The dark and the light side both silent to him. Long ago, he was tempted to the dark side of the force, but he resisted and prevented his fall. He could resist the temptation of the dark side, but that did not mean he could not call on the powers of it. In truth, he could use both the dark and the light side without any side effects. He was different, far different than anyone else. He was Mandalorian by birth, but no Mandalorian ever had been force sensitive. He was an orphan and never knew his parents. The Mandalorians hated him because that never had Mandalorian been force sensitive. He didn't belong anywhere, not Mandalore, not the Republic, not the Jedi, not even the Force. He knew that he was always alone in this galaxy, and when he thought that he did, when he had thought that he might have belonged, it was all crushed. His already weak heart broke, his emotions destroyed. He sat there for hours, thinking about how his life. He had no goal, no ambitions, nothing. Maybe it was time he tried to find a place where he belonged. Exiting hyperspace, the droid pilot said as the ship came a halt, reveling Mandalore in all of its glory. "Land at the capital," Naruto ordered as the ship entered the planet's atmosphere and made its way towards the capital as it slowed down and landed at one of the pads. Guards surrounded the ship. Naruto then exited the ship as the guards readied their weapons. "You are not authorized, not land. Mandalore is a natural system, a Republic warship is not allowed to land. Leave now," the captain of the guard said. Naruto stopped. "You're mistaken. I am not part of the Republic, the ship belongs to me and is under my ownership. Here are the papers of ownership," Naruto said with a blank look that creeped out the guards. The captain walked up and took the paper and ran through the information on it. After a while the captain handed back the paper. "Your information checks out, sorry for the intrusion," the captain said as he and the guards went back to their posts. Seeing this, Naruto headed into the city. Going through the city, he remembered his past clearly. He was a poor boy, living under the poverty line. No one helped him because of his connection to the Force. A Jedi had founded him and brought him to the Order, and it was there he was raised. Making his way down the lower levels of the city, he made his way to his destination, a small house. It was abandoned and in ruins. Walking in, he could see that even on the inside the small house was falling apart. It was a very empty house. With only furniture being a table, a few chairs and a small bed for a child. This was his old home, and it had been for the first 13 years of his life, which was before he was taken away by the Jedi. Walking inside his small room, he spotted a small old toy by the table. Picking it, he remembered that it was given to him by a girl, a gift. It was the only time in his life that he felt grateful, the first time he had felt happy, but he never saw that girl again. The toy was perhaps the only thing kicking him for going insane back then. Maybe he should seek her out. Seeing that there was nothing here for him, he headed back out and started to make his way back to his ship, but stopped as the royal guard stopped him. "Stop, the Duchess would like to see you," one of the guards said. Naruto sighed. He had nothing to hide. "Lead the way," Naruto said as he followed the guards that lead him to the palace where the Duchess waited for him. "So what would you, Duchess Atene, want from me?" he asked the Duchess, who sat on her throne. "What is a Jedi doing here on Mandalore?" she asked. "I am not a Jedi, not anymore," he said, no emotion behind his voice, creeping out many. "Not a Jedi? But from your information, you are a Jedi Padawan," Satine stated. Was this man lying to her? "I was a Jedi. I was expelled from the Order not too soon ago," Naruto answered. "And what are you doing here on Mandalore?" she asked him. "Because I am Mandalorian, this makes this planet my home planet. Can I not return to my home world?" he questioned, keeping his black face. The guards were getting very nervous of this man. Who the hell could stay that calm? "You lie, no Mandalorian has ever been force sensitive," Satine said with her head held up to show power, the guards though the same, but Naruto lifted up the guards by the force. "Is this proof enough?" he asked. Satine could only dumbly nod in response. Naruto then let the guards down. "So you were expelled from the Jedi Order? Why would they do that?" Satine questioned him, but Naruto said nothing. People didn't think that he cared about his fallen clone comrades, but that was only on the outside. On the inside, the death of his clone comrades had hit him hard. He had led those men through many battles and had saved many, but now they were all dead. Seeing this, Satine just sighed. He wouldn't tell her why and she would not press him to answer. "I can see that you do not want to talk about it. Anyways, you can indeed return to your homeworld, however, you are a Jedi, that means you have fought in the Clone Wars. I cannot let you live on Mandalore because you are a warrior and Mandalore has shed its warrior past and has adopted a peaceful era. You cannot live on Mandalore itself, but you can live on its moon, Concordia," Satine stated. For just a brief moment, she saw a look of defeat fall on the young man's face, but it was quickly covered up by. "Thank you," he said, turning around, he began to walk away. "Hey. You haven't been dismissed by the Duchess," one of the guards yelled, but Naruto kept walking in a trance state. "No, it's fine," Duchess said to the guard and watched as the young expelled Jedi walked away. She wondered what happened to him. Was his state the result of war or was it well before the war? With Naruto entering the ship, he ordered the droids to head to Concordia. With that he headed back to his personal room. Sitting down, he closed his eyes to get some answers from the Force itself, but all he saw was darkness. The Force didn't give him answers, it wasn't even clouded. All it showed him was nothingness. He got no answers, the Force didn't show him anything, and not even the dark side showed him anything. Am I truly alone in this world, in this vast galaxy? He though himself as he felt a pang of pain in his heart. The thought of being alone was painful for him. It was just like when he was a child, alone, forgotten and shunned. "Sir, we have landed on the moon," the droid said over the communicator. Naruto opened his eyes. He got up and headed to the unloading bay. He was followed by two of his battle droids. Walking out, he surveyed the area. It was an open field, with trees to the north and large and rock hills to the south and east. The west had a small lake. It was a very good place for a base or even an isolated place to live. "I want a large base constructed here, those hills to the south, and have it also built underground. Have a small factory established as well. Also have camouflage defense systems around this hill, use that lake as a source for water, and have a small garden near the base. Have the ship camouflaged as well." Naruto ordered as the droid said Roger Roger and went back inside the ship to get the other droids and the material. The Republic frigate was actually far larger than the standard variant. It could hold a lot more weight than the standard ones. As such, he had a lot of resources on board the ship. He needed a place to live, and a ship was not a permanent base. He wanted a small factory because he could create assassin droids and would send them out as bounty hunters to get income, and he would slowly expand. But what do with all of that? He thought. There was no point in doing that, so what's the point of it? He didn't know yet, but he might find his answer along the way, but then again what was his question? What did he want? What did his heart want? Long ago, it was to find a place where he belonged, a person he could spend his life with, but that was long ago. His heart was dead, his emotions were more or less lost to him, and he lived just for the sake of it. He was given a goal when he was taken by the Jedi Order, but that was it was given to him, it was never his own. He didn't even know his own origins. Who was he? Who were his parents? Did he have any family left? He was not just an unknown to the world, but he was an unknown to himself. He was just a lost, broken man who was looking for answers to his unknown questions. As he stared into the sky that was turning orange as the sun started to set, he kept thinking, lost in his thoughts. He didn't even notice two people in armor with jetpacks observing him from far away. "Should we report this to the Vizsla?" The one wearing the male armor asked as he looked at his female comrade. She had kept looking at the unknown man. "I don't know," she answered. There was something familiar about that man, like she knew him in her youth. "I'll just put it in the report, let Vizsla deal with him," the male said as he started to head back to base. The female however just kept looking at the man and after a few minutes got up and started to head back as well. Who was he? She knew who he was, but she couldn't remember. If only she knew his name. Naruto stood in the open field, observing his new base. In just a month, the droids had built the base up. Droids were faster builder because they didn't need to sleep or eat, only recharge, and that was only a few times of the day. As for the factory, well, it wasn't much of a factory. It was more like a small work area where you could make droids at. He needed more. He needed a droid factory away from the eyes of the Duchess and pretty much every other major faction. He remembered how he acquired a few droids after the Battle of Christophsis. After the Separatists had retreated from the planet, they had left a small force, but the force was destroyed, but a small force of deactivated droids was left undamaged. He took the deactivated droids for himself, and luckily he had also found a downed Republic frigate. The ship was heavily damaged and was just left there. He was going to take it for himself, but the Republic was not going to, as they were going to repair it and put it back into service. Naruto, however, asked them to give it to him and even offered them a price for it, and they sold it to him, thinking that repairing the vessel would take a lot more credits than the price Naruto gave them. Naruto had bought it for only 300k since it was heavily damaged. They thought that he would never be able to get it repaired and running, but thanks to the droids, he made it even better with modifications he bought from the black market. The Order would have been pretty pissed if they found out that. "Sir, we have produced 4 IG-88 assassin droids, and they have been sent out to as bounty hunters, and as for the HK-47 series, we do not have the required resources to produce such a droid. We require more durasteel and other parts for it," the battle droid said, handing him the datapad. Naruto stroked his chin. He had found the HK-47 assassin droid's remains preserved deep within the GD temple. He had learned that the droid was made by the infamous Revan. He then bypassed the security and found restricted information, and that is where he found the blueprints of the assassin droid. If he could mass-produce the assassin droid, then he could have a massive army of droids that were very dangerous. "Good, I'll take care of the resource problem. There is a separatists outpost nearby the system, and they protect a vital supply line. A few transport ships carrying resources, such as parts and other resources needed to produce droids. The ships dock at the outpost for refueling and checkups. I'll be taking 2 commando droids with me," Naruto stated. "Sir, if I may ask, what type of ships are you planning to attack?" the droid asked. The droid was worried about the man who gave them better programming and survival chances. They would not like it if he died. "Do Lucrehulkel H-3210 cargo freighters," Naruto answered without looking up from the datapad. "Did you say Lucrehulk?" the droid said in worry. Even if they were cargo freighters, they still housed thousands of battle droids of all kind. How was his master going to steal 2 massive ships from the separatists with just 2 commando droids and him alone? "Relax, I have a plan. The 2 commando droids will act like separatist droids, and I'll sneak aboard the other one. Besides, once the mission is over, we'll have a small army of battle droids, but reprogramming them will be a pain," Naruto said, his voice lacking emotion. In fact, the droid he was talking to showed more emotions than him. "Roger, roger," the droid said in a worried tone as it made its way back to the base. Naruto then got up and began to head to his ship. He realized that the ship was too big. He would need a smaller ship to reach the outpost undetected. Just then he felt like someone was watching him. Looking back, he saw a figure hiding in the tree line, observing him. Seeing this, quickly used the force to pull the figure out of the tree line and towards to him. The figure was a female in Mandalorian armor, and once he saw the insignia on the right shoulder he knew who it was. "Death Watch," he said flatly. The female got up and grumbled about GDs and force. "Who are you?" Naruto asked her. She looked up, and even though he couldn't see her eyes, he could tell that she was looking at him intently. "Who are you?" she asked him in a daze. She had seen him before. What was his name? Naruto kept his flat look. "Naruto, just Naruto," he said, seeing that Death Watch already knew by this time about his arrival. The female Mandalorian's eyes widened. Naruto, his name was Naruto. She knew that she knew him. Memories of a 7-year-old boy with blonde hair and blue eyes rushed into her mind. It was him. She couldn't believe that she had met him after all these years. "Naruto, Naruto, Naruto," the female yelled as she hugged him. Naruto, however, raised an eyebrow. Did he know her? "I'm sorry, do I know you?" he asked her. She broke the hug and tilted her head and then smacked herself. She was wearing her helmet. There was no way he would remember. Taking of her mask, she let red hair loose and opened her green eyes. She had a smile on her face that could light up the darkest of the nights. Naruto narrowed his eyes. He had seen her somewhere before from his past. Then his eyes widened in shock. "Bo-Katan?" he asked. Was this really the girl he knew from his past? The one who gave him his first gift? He remembered. She said as she had a faint blush on her face. The boy she had known had grown into such a handsome man, but something seemed wrong with him. "Naruto, are you okay?" she asked him, but all he gave her was a blank face, which unnerved her a bit. "I am fine," Naruto said. The way he said worried her. He showed no emotions, something was wrong. When she had known him, he was joyful, but now. Something happened. "Naruto, please tell me," she pleaded as she cupped his cheek with her hand. Naruto looked away down at the ground. She knew that he wouldn't talk about it for now, so she dropped it for now. "Anyways, where have you been? I thought you died," she asked as she said the last part under her breath. "I was taken away by a Jedi to be trained in the Jedi ways," he answered. "You're a Jedi, but Naruto, don't you remember how you wanted to be a Mandalorian warrior? What happened to that dream?" she asked him, horrified. She remembered when they were young how he talked about how he wanted to be a great Mandalorian warriors of the past. He had heard many stories about them, and he wanted to be like them, a Mandalorian warrior. The best of the best. But now he was a Jedi. I was expelled, and how could I be a Mandalorian warrior when Mandalore doesn't even have small military?" Naruto asked. She could see the look of betrayal, but it was masked quickly. Angry rose up inside of her. How dare they expel him? Who would throw away someone like Naruto? Did they not know of his past? His past was a life of struggle and she remembered it. She was his only friend back then. "I am sorry," she said, looking down. "It doesn't matter," he said as he looked at his ship. She followed his gaze to his ship. "What's the matter?" she asked him. Looking back at her, he thought he could trust her. "I need resources, so I am going to raid separatist ships and I need a small ship," he answered. She looked at him wondering why he needed the resources for, but maybe she could help him. I can get you a ship," she said. Naruto looked at her. "Why would you help me? Aren't you with Death Watch?" he asked her, and in response she blushed. I am just trying to help you. Just get your stuff, I'll get the ship," she yelled at him, looking away with a pout. She knew why she helped him, it was because she had fallen in love with the fool when they were children. Crazy, wasn't she? To have fallen in love when she was just a child, but she didn't care. Naruto was a kind, joyful and caring boy. She didn't know what happened to him, but she would help him and save him in any way she could. "Thank you," Naruto said, turning around to get his commando droids as Bo went to get the ship. What he didn't that was that his heart was already starting feel, even if he didn't know it. A few moments later. Naruto waited with his commando droids for Bo to return. He heard the sound of a ship in the distance and looked up to see one of the small attack crafts the Death Watch used. Landing, Bo walked out. "So, are you coming?" she asked him with a light chuckle. Naruto nodded and walked on board with his droids. The ship then took off, heading to the supply station. "So, tell me what you are going to raid?" she asked. "I am going to steal 2 Lucreville Cal H-3210 cargo freighters," he answered. As she nodded, but then she realized what he had said. "Are you crazy? Even Death Watch can't handle a small droid army," she yelled at him. Was he trying to die? "Don't worry, I'll make it out alive and with 2 ships and an army of droids," Naruto said calmly. "Naruto, this is messing with the big players. The separatists will have a bounty on your head," she yelled. Naruto remained calm. "Do not worry, all I need you to do is wait till me and my droids capture the ship," Naruto said. She looked at him and slowly nodded. She'll believe in him for now. "Fine, just be safe, okay?" she told him with a sigh. Naruto nodded. One hyperspace jump later. The ship exited out of hyperspace and slowly approached the droid outpost. Docking, Naruto and his droids were about to leave, but before Naruto could leave, he was stopped by Bo. He turned around and looked at her. "Just make it back alive, okay?" she said as she pushed him into the droid outpost and de-docked. "Sir, are you okay?" one of the commando droids asked. "Yes, everything's fine. Now get to your positions, you know the plan," Naruto said. "Roger, roger," the droid said as they ran off towards their targeted space. Naruto headed off to the other one. The plan was simple. Sneak aboard the enemy ship and head to bridge. Take it over and shut down all the droids from the ship and get the hell out of there. Naruto slowly made his way through the outpost and boarded the docked enemy cargo ship. Opening one of the doors, Naruto came across the 2 battle droids. They looked startled. "Halt, you're not supposed to be here," one of the droids said, but Naruto quickly blasted the 2 with his blaster. Making his way through the hallways, he made his way towards the bridge, but the ship was too big and it would take too long. He then spotted a group of elevator. "One of these will take me up to the bridge." He quickly found it and entered the elevator. After about 7 minutes later the elevator stopped. Entering the bridge, he noticed that the droids didn't take note of him, however the tactical droid did. "Halt, by my calculation you are not supposed to be here," the droid said, but Naruto shot the droid. "Calculate that," Naruto said as he blasted the other droids that tried to retaliate. Walking up to the main computer, he quickly deactivated the droids on board. "Echo team, have you secured TH bridge?" Naruto asked through his communicator. He heard static before he got a response. "The bridge is secured and all droids have been deactivated. Echo Team replied. Very good. Naruto said, pressing another button on his communicator. Bo, you are cleared to land, the ships are under my control. Naruto said. Understood. She said. Naruto shut off the communicator and started to ready the ship. As he was getting it ready, he thought about what Bo had said about his old dream. Maybe, he could still be a warrior. Yes, he knew what he wanted to be now, he knew what his goal was now. Mandalore. He said to himself. Yes, Mandalore, the leader of all Mandalorians and a title given to the strongest, not only that, but the title felt like it was calling out to him. Why was that? Why was the title calling out to him? You already know the answer to that, he heard someone say. Looking around he realized that he wasn't in the ship of the bridge anymore. He was in some kind of temple. Touring around he came face to face with a tall man in old Mandalorian armor that was used in the times of the Old Republic. He wore the classic Mandalorian helmet, but it was yellow in color, and he had a red cape as well going down all the way to his feet. This man he felt familiar, he felt a connection to him. Do you know who I am, child? The man asked, his helmet altering his voice. Naruto felt a connection, but who was this man, how was he connected to him? Seeing that the boy didn't know, the man chuckled. Don't try too hard, I don't expect you to know me, after all it's been such a long time since my fall at the hands of Darth Revan. I am Mandalore the Ultimate, the last Mandalore and more importantly your ancestor. The man now named Mandalore the Ultimate announced. Naruto's eyes widened for the first time. That's impossible, you are a Tong, and I am a human. There is no way you are my ancestor. Naruto said calmly. If what this man was saying was true, that he was a true Mandalorian. Oh, but it is, years upon years of the bloodline being passed down, the Tong blood started to become obsolete to the human blood, and if came to a point that the human blood and gene overpowered its Tong counterpart. You are only about 11% Tong in blood. You Naruto are of a great bloodline, and if anyone is worth of the title Mandalore, then it is you. Ultimate explained. Who are my parents? Naruto immediately asked. The Mandalore looked at him. He should have known. The boy would want to know who his parents were. Your parents were descendants of great bloodlines. Your mother being of mine and your father being off Revan's decent. Strange that mine and his descendants would become, but a shame that only you Ultimate however was stopped in his track. I want to know their names, damn it. I want to know who they were, not of their ancestors. Naruto yelled at him. This was the first time since the Clone Wars did he show any kind of emotion, and right now he was feeling too, anger and hope. Anger that this man wasn't giving him a straight answer and hope that he might know who his parents were. Ultimate looked at his descendant. He had to admit, the boy had guts. He knew who his parents was because they were one with the Force, like him. Their names were Minato and Kushina. Your father was Force sensitive, but he didn't join the Order because he loved your mother. Your mother was Mandalorian warrior turned bounty hunter, like her brother Jango Fett. She was fierce, hot-headed and headstrong, like a true Mandalorian. They loved you even before you were born. The old Mandalore answered. For Naruto, the dam had broken. He knew who his parents were and they loved him. Slowly, tears started to go down his cheek and he didn't even realize it. His legs were shaking and gave way. He fell to his knees as he started to cry even more. Mother, father, he said, crying, but just then he felt someone hug him from behind. I am right here, my baby boy. He heard a sweet motherly voice. Looking back, he saw a woman with long red hair, pale skin and violet eyes that looked at him with nothing but motherly love. Mother? He asked. The woman smiled and nodded. Then it all broke, the dame that kept all of his emotions broke. He pulled her into a tight hug as she hugged him back. It's okay, mommy's here. Kushina said, patting him on the back. For such a long time I wanted to see you, to know you. Naruto said as he cried on her shoulder. Kushina just kept a smile on her face. I know you wanted to and we are so sorry for leaving you alone in such a cruel world. I and your father had no choice, we had to save you. I hope you can forgive us. Kushina said asked. What happened to you two? Naruto asked her as his crying subsided. Kushina looked down. The Sith happened. She said, confusing him. What do you mean Sith happened? He asked her. She looked at him before sighing. Naruto, your father was very strong with the Force, but he refused to join the Order. This meant that he was a wild card, even for the Sith. The day I was giving birth to you, a Sith Lord by the name of Sidious attacked our home. He wanted to kill your father, but after finding out that you were going to be born, he wanted to take you in and train you to be a Sith Lord. Your father defended us with a little training he had, while I ran with you. Your father died fighting the Sith Lord, and he soon caught up to me. I was able to make him believe that you had died with me in an explosion, but in reality, I had sent you away via starship. You landed on Mandalore, my home planet. Make no mistake, you are Mandalorian like me and my brother. As for my brother, he also thought you had died, and as such he was never there to raise you. I am so sorry, my little boy, Kushina explained as she started to cry. No mother, you did nothing wrong to ask forgiveness, but who was this Sith Lord? His real name? Naruto asked. She could see that in his eyes, he wanted to defeat the Sith Lord. She sighed, he was a Mandalorian to the core, and Mandalorians did not forgive easily. His name is Palpatine, or better known as the Supreme Chancellor of the Galactic Republic. Kushina revealed, shocking him. The Chancellor was a Sith Lord. Then that would mean. This whole war was his plan, he muttered, but it didn't make any sense. Why would a Sith fight with the Jedi against the Separatists, who were led by a Sith? But then he remembered, the rule of two, there can only be two Siths at the same time. That meant that Palpatine was working with Dooku, if so then why would he fight for the Republic? It doesn't make sense unless that clever little bastard. Naruto though. The clones, they were the key to this war and Palpatine's plans. He always wondered why the clone army was kept secret from the Jedi Order until the minute they were deployed. He needed to find out what the clones were made for, and the best place to do so would be the Source Camino. I will destroy Sidious, but not as a Jedi or a Sith, but as a Mandalorian. I will become Mandalore and crush all those who stand in my way. He said darkly. Kushina would have thought that he had fallen to the dark side, but he didn't, in fact she could feel the dark side fear him. The light side however embraced him. This was the strangest thing ever. Usually people would fall to the dark side, maybe something was wrong with the Force. Hahaha. Spoken like a true Mandalorian. Good, you are worthy of the title of Mandalore. Go. And take Mandalore back from the peace-loving fools who deny their culture, history and their own blood. Show them that the Mandalorian culture will never die. Mandalore the Ultimate said, approving Naruto and his rule as Mandalore when the time came. With that the last known Mandalore faded away. Just be safe, I don't want you seeing me too soon. Kushina said with a chuckle. Naruto nodded as he watched his mother fade away and just like that, he was back in the ship's bridge. He heard the door open behind him. Looking back he saw Bo walk in. Wow, can't believe you actually were you crying? She asked him. She saw the faint tear marks on his cheeks. Naruto brought his hand up to his cheek and could feel a few of the teardrops. So it wasn't a dream, I actually saw my mother though. Yes, now let's get out of here. Naruto said, punching in the commands and watched as the ship turned port side and zoomed past the stars and into hyperspace, the other one following. You have done this before, haven't you? She asked him. She felt something different about Naruto because he smirked. Battle of Umbara, I snuck aboard a droid ship during their planetary blockade when they were protecting it. The factory programming of the droids is pretty stupid, mine are better. Naruto answered. C looked at him with a raised eyebrow. You okay? She asked. Never been better. Naruto answered. Seeing that he was giving her vague answers she decided to change the topic. So, what are you going to do with this army? She asked him. What did he want to do? Mandalore, with this droid army, I shall become Mandalore and it starts with the invasion and reconquest of Mandalore itself. He answered looking forward. Mandalore, but how are you going to become one when the people support Satine? You will be thrown out of leadership. She said. How was he going to become the one man that would rule over Mandalore? Simple, I will unite all Death Watch under my rule, and I will unite all other groups of Mandalorian warrior groups out there. After that, we will use a ruse to frame the current government that can't even defend its people. Then my forces will march in and save the people. We will be heroes in the eyes of the people, but if that plan fails, then we will simply invade Mandalore with my army and take it, Naruto explained. Bo was pretty impressed with the plan, but she knew Naruto had a hidden reason as well. What's the other reason? She asked him. Naruto stayed silent. I want to kill Chancellor of the Republic. Naruto said, shocking her. Kill the Chancellor? That will bring the full might of the clone army down on Mandalore. Bo yelled, but she saw Naruto smirk again. Not if it's the Separatists that kill him. Naruto countered. He watched as a look of realization fall on her face. You go and send out your droid armies, calming them to be Separatists, and since Mandalore is neutral, they won't be traced back to us, impressive. She praised. Yes, but for now we must build our forces and from what you have told me, Vizsla, the governor of Concordia, is the leader of Death Watch. If so, then the moon would be a perfect place to build a secret army, right under the nose of the Duchess. The governor will lie to her, saying that everything is fine. Bo, I need to know, who will you follow, me or Vizsla? Naruto asked her. Bo though about it, she knew Naruto when they were children and he was the one she loved. Vizsla she joined was simply because he was fighting to bring back the old Mandalore, but here was Naruto that was going to do the same, only he had the resources to do so. She then looked him dead in the eye. My loyalty lies with you. She answered. Naruto smiled. He might have became that emotionless man when the Clone Wars started because of certain senator and her betrayal, but now it was different. He had new goal, and that goal was killing the Sith and restoring Mandalore to its former glory and maybe settle down and have a family. Good. Naruto said as the ships exited out of hyperspace. He didn't know, but his meeting with his mother and ancestor had sent ripples throughout the galaxy. The balance of the force had shifted and the future was now blank. The Jedi nor the Sith could get a vision or a read on the future. Something big was going to happen, something that would change the faith and the future of the galaxy. But Yoda. See nothing, I do. Unknown, the future is. Yoda said, opening his eyes, along with the other Jedi Masters. They were all worried, that was for sure. But Palpatine. Tyrannus, find this disturbance in the Force and see to it that it's destroyed or turned to be used for us in our plans. Palpatine ordered his apprentice. It will be done, my lord. Tyrannus said, as he bowed his head. His master seemed afraid. Whatever this disturbance was, it could stop their plans. Tyrannus, though it might have been just a Jedi child on some outer rim planet, but oh, this was something bigger than anything he could have thought of. Naruto sat in his room with his eyes closed, sleeping. For the past few weeks, he has been traveling through the galaxy, finding Mandalorian warrior clans that were spread throughout the galaxy. He had already found 4 that had joined him. He did encounter a few that refused to join him, but he had dealt with them. His base had also grown thanks to the resources that he had raided. The base was built all underground, and the best thing was that the moon of Mandalore was the perfect place for mining resources. He now had a very small droid factory underneath the mountain, creating 50 droids a day, nothing big, but it was better than nothing. Expansion would have to wait. For now he needed to get the moon under his control, which meant brining in the Republic to discover Vizsla and his position in the Death Watch. The Duchess was very predictable. She would require someone with pacifist views to take the position of governor for Concordia, and what better person than a former Jedi. But the position of governor and the Death Watch ripped for his taking, he would have control of Concordia, leaving him to create as many droids he wanted to, while giving false reports to the Duchess. Death Watch would be his, the largest Mandalorian organization. His warriors already stood at a 500 strong, and his small droid army stood at 600 strong. He had a few HK series, which were sent out to his bounty hunters. Oh, ready a Mandalorian warrior for a sabotage mission. We are going to frame Mandalore. Naruto ordered. You got it. She said though the communicator. Now he turned his attention to different problem, Pantora. The Trade Federation had blockaded the moon and was demanding that the Pantorans pay up. Naruto knew that the Trade Federation was working with the Separatists to force Pantora to join them. He had other plans. He knew that Senator Ryuchuchi wanted to help her people, but the Senate would take forever to help, or won't help, and the Republic couldn't do anything as the Trade Federation wasn't doing anything wrong. They knew that the Trade Federation was working with the Separatists, but they had no proof. So he was going to help the senator in exchange for her leaving the Republic and becoming a neutral system, and he knew that the Pantorans would love that. The war was getting out of hand for some people. By making Pantora a neutral system, he could get a secret alliance within and allow him to build bigger droid armies and ships to be stationed there. This would allow his fleet to be built up away from the eyes of the Republic and the Duchess, and it helped when he knew Chuchi formed past missions. Heading up, he exited his room. He had a senator to meet. Coruscant, a few days later. Senator Chuchi was having a hard time. The Trade Federation had blocked her planet and demanded that they pay up, and now, the chairman's daughters were kidnapped. She didn't know what to do and things were getting worse as time went on. The Trade Federation is behind this, but how do I prove it? She said to herself. Maybe you are in need of some help. She heard a voice as the door to her room opened. She knew who this person was. Naruto? She asked with a light blush. Yes, Chuchi, it's me. He answered with a small smile. She approached him and hugged him. I am so glad to see you. They told us you were expelled from the Order and after that you just vanished. She said. Naruto sighed. A lot has happened. I know what's happening to your homeworld and I am here to help. Naruto said. Chuchi lightened up that. Naruto could be great help. Thanks. Chuchi said happily, however before she could speak any further, Naruto stopped her. Chuchi, before I help you, I need your help. Naruto said. Chuchi stopped and raised an eyebrow. She nodded him to continue. I need you to declare Pantora a neutral world. Naruto said to her shock. What? Naruto, you know that would cause my world to lose Republic support and we need Republic support now more than ever. She stated, clearly shocked at what he said. Chuchi, the Republic is corrupt, you know it. Also the Chancellor, Palpatine, is not who he is. He is a Sith, he killed my parents. And he has a plan that will destroy the Republic and kill all those who oppose him, even the Senate. I know this because of the Force, but that is not evidence enough to prove that he is to everyone, not even the Jedi. They will claim me to be crazy and most likely hunt me down. Listen, if you declare Pantora to be a neutral system and ally yourself with Mandalore, no one will dare step into your system. I am planning to build an army of droids and Mandalorian warriors and I will take Mandalore myself. I can offer your people protection. It takes years for the Senate to do anything, you know that. If your planet is invaded or a civil war ensues, the Republic won't be able to do anything. Their forces are already spread too far out dealing with outer and mid-rim planets that are rising against the Republic. Think about it. Naruto explained. Chuchi wanted to argue, but what Naruto said was true. The Republic was stretched too far out, even now if her homeworld was attacked, the Republic would be too late to help, but Naruto was planning a war, a third faction, but the Chancellor was right about that. Now that she thought about it, the Chancellor had always interfered with Jedi-related businesses and even war-related issue. If the Chancellor was a Sith, then that meant that her people were going to become his slave when he did try whatever plan he had. If what you even say is true, I don't have the power to make it a neutral system. I am just a senator. The chairman holds that power. She stated. Then I will have the chairman removed. Naruto said, once again shocking her. Naruto? What is wrong with you? Killing the chairman? Are you crazy? She questioned him. Future lives are at stake, trillions of lives are at stake. Many will die and many more will become slaves to the Sith. I am willing to trade one man's life to save many more. These are drastic times and action must be taken. He countered. I know, but must we really kill the chairman? Why can't we just remove him from power? She asked him. I can try that and get you in power, but you might not like it. Naruto said. Chuchi's face told him to say it. I can have 2 droid ships to attack your homeworld. This would cause your people to lose faith in the Republic to better able to protect them and the faith in the chairman fall. The last chairman was more aggressive and because of his blunder, the people of Pantora have been watching the new chairman with open eyes. One slip up and he would be removed from power. Once that's done, you can move in and secure the position for yourself. Your people grow tired of the war and it would be easy to back out the Republic and become a neutral system. He offered. You are going to have my people attacked? She asked him in outrage. No, I won't. I'll only attack a shipyard. This should rally your people against a war and you and I both know how much the current chairman supports the Republic. Naruto countered, it was a sound plan, but was she going to follow though? I don't know Naruto, this plan, how am I not sure this is all some kind of plan of yours? She asked him. She had known Naruto for some time and from what she could gather, he was always quiet and down-to-earth kind of guy, even if he was quiet and not emotional. You don't. You know me better than the Jedi do and you even know the reason why I became that emotionless man, but I found myself. I lost my path a long time ago, I lost sight of who I was, but I found myself and now I know what I want to be, my goal is to be Mandalore. I want to create a faction, a system that defends its members. Naruto answered. She now knew that he wanted to create a faction that would only defend and attack when provoked. Something that had never exited it, as all great empires or major faction had attacked neutral systems for conquest. So what you want is peace? She asked. I want peace, yes, but just because I want it doesn't mean that I won't wield a big gun. The idea that peace can be maintained without a military is foolish. War will always exist, all you need is a spark, an idea, a philosophy, a reason, and it will come into being. Militaries will always be needed, soldiers will always be needed, but the difference is how you use it. Naruto answered explained. He would not be a fool like the rest. You needed a shield and a sword to defend one's people. Okay, but will the Chancellor not try to stop my system's withdrawal from the Republic? She asked him. Naruto had a thoughtful look on his face. No, he may try, but he doesn't have the power to prevent a system from leaving. Besides, Pantora is a very minor system to him and is barely under any threat. The Trade Federation blockading right now is just the old man's plan to keep the war ongoing. Naruto answered. It was true, the old man was only stalling the war for his plans. Okay, I'll go along with your plan, but please be careful, she said, with the last part under her breath. Don't worry, you just get ready and leave the rest to me, besides, the Jedi will have something else to worry about. Naruto said with a smirk. Chuchi didn't know what he meant by that, but she let it be. She would trust him more than anybody right now. With everything done, he turned around and left the office, with his hood on. Jedi Temple. This is serious matter. A Republic base was sabotaged a few days ago, and the cause was a Mandalorian warrior. Windu said, playing the hologram of a Mandalorian warrior attacking the Republic base. What do you think about this new development? Kit Fisto said. This was new, but new didn't mean good sometimes. We believe that Mandalore is building an army for the Separatists. Plo Koon suggested. Kenobi tensed up at that. Now hang on, Mandalore is a neutral system, they have no reason to build an army. Kenobi said. Anakin and Ahsoka were standing by, listening, but Ahsoka's thoughts were somewhere else, Naruto. She just knew that he was framed in her mind, no Jedi would betray the Order. They just couldn't. But Naruto was always different. He was Mandalorian by birth and he was force sensitive, and from the information they had on him, he was never like this. His behavior changed just a few months before the Clone Wars. What caused the change? Ahsoka? Anakin asked, breaking her out of her thoughts. "Oh yes, master?" she asked him. He gestured her to the door. "Come on, let's go," he said as they both left the chamber. They weren't on this mission, it was Kenobi's mission. As they walked through the halls of the Jedi temple in silence, Ahsoka finally spoke up. "Master, you knew Jedi Padawan Naruto?" she asked him. She noticed him tense up. "Yes, I knew him, he was just about 2 years older than me," Anakin answered. "Then why was he still a Padawan? Shouldn't he have been knight or a master by now?" she questioned him. She could feel her master tense up as they walked. "Well, I don't know why, but he was never given any of the trials for them. They said it was his behavior, or rather his emotional behavior," he answered, but she could hear the hesitation in his voice. "Is there something that you're not telling me, master?" she asked with a raised eyebrow. However, before she got the chance to question her master, they were stopped by one of the masters. "Master Skywalker, you are needed for a mission, so if would please follow me." And with that, he was off to another mission. However, Ahsoka was not pleased with her question being unanswered. "Something doesn't feel right, master must have some kind of history with Naruto." She was going to get to the bottom of this. Naruto seemed like a normal weak Jedi, but to those who had seen him in the few battles he had fought in, he was a powerful Jedi. He only seemed weak because unlike other Jedis, he didn't show off or talk about his tales. He kept everything to himself, including his emotions. Mandalore, a month later. Obi-Wan had arrived to Mandalore a few days ago, however things were not going good for him or the Republic as a whole. The first thing was that the Duchess was not being very helpful, completely rejecting the idea of Mandalore having an army. The second was that the Separatists had attacked Pantora. Pantora was already getting tired of the war, and with the Trade Federation blockade, it made it worse. The chairman's daughters were saved, held by the Separatists as hostage. However, the chairman was removed from power due to his incompetence for the short time he was in power. However, the newest chairman, or rather chairwoman, elected was Senator Chuchi herself. He had worked with her in the past, and she seemed like a very good choice. He had faith in her. However, then came the biggest shock. Pantora had withdrawn from the Republic and retracted its alliance as well. The next big thing that happened was that the Pantora's parliament was dissolved and all power was given to the chairwoman, Chuchi. This was a shock, as he would have expected people to oppose such an action. However, that was not the case, as Chuchi's speeches rallied the people to support her actions, stating that in times of war, the parliament be dissolved and all power given to the leader of Pantora. Chuchi now had unlimited power in her hands. She then proceeded to join Mandalore as one of the 200 neutral systems, making it now at 201 neutral systems. Now he sat here as he heard the constant yelling in the throne room of the Duchess. He had indeed found Death Watch's hideout, and it turned out that Vizsla was the leader of this Death Watch. He had defeated him, but Vizsla got away. Now, here he was, in the room as these politicians droned off as to who was going to be the next governor of Concordia. He spotted that the Duchess had enough of it. "Quite. I will not have this senseless fighting going on in this court. As for who will be the governor of Concordia, I know a man who could be," she stated. Obi-Wan raised an eyebrow. Who could she be talking about? Seeing everyone's gaze full on her, she cleared her throat. "The man lives on Concordia and was a former Jedi. From the information I have on him, he is a rather peaceful Jedi, one that would rather not get caught up in a war and keep the peace like a true Jedi," she said, jabbing at Obi-Wan. "And who is this former Jedi you speak of?" Obi-Wan asked, with a tick mark on his forehead, though he had an idea who this former Jedi was. "His name is Naruto, no last name known, but he was a former Jedi, a peaceful Jedi," she answered with her head held high. "Why would you give such a position to a Jedi? He's fought in a war, you know," Kenobi questioned. "Yes, but when I met him, he seemed different, he seemed tired of the war. He lives on Concordia, peacefully," she stated. "But he does have a small number of droids," Kenobi said with a smirk. "Yes, but he has them for his own security, as Concordia does have some rogue elements," she countered. She nodded towards the guards and they nodded, went and headed to bring Naruto. "Now then, we will have to continue this when former Jedi Naruto arrives and a guest that is here on a visit," she said as Kenobi raised an eyebrow. "Who is this guest?" Kenobi asked. He did notice everyone in the city getting ready for something, like a welcoming party. However, before she could answer, the communicator went off. "Duchess, Senator Padme's ship has entered the system," the guard said over the communicator. Obi-Wan raised an eyebrow. What was Senator Padme doing here? "Good, have her ship land at Pad 6. She ordered as she shut off the communicator. With that, she got up and walked out. Obi-Wan, however, just sat there and looked on while stroking his beard like always. With Naruto. "Sir, an Naboo ship has exited out of hypership and is currently heading to Mandalore." A droid reported as Naruto stood in his command station. Also, you are receiving a transmission from Mandalore. The droid reported. Patch it though once I exit the base. Naruto said, turning around and headed outside. He pulled out a holodisk, then the transmission was put through. The Duchess requires your presence. With that the transmission was cut. Naruto growled. Now he had to go see the Duchess. Sighing, he headed to his ship. You two, come with me. Naruto said as he passed by two commando droids. Entering his ship, the ship floated up slowly before it shot into the sky and headed for Mandalore. But the Duchess. Ah, Senator Padme, it's good to see that you have arrived without any trouble. Satine greeted her. It's nice to see you as well. Padme greeted back, but before they could do anything, they had a ship land, a Republic ship. I wasn't aware that another senator was coming here. Padme questioned. Oh no, this isn't a senator. As soon as she said that, two commando droids walked out and fooling after them was a hooded man. Padme and her guards quickly took a defensive stand. Droids? Padme said as she pulled out her blaster pistol. Senator Padme, stand down, these droids do not belong to the separatists. Satine stated before things went south. Padme and her guards didn't listen though. What are the separatists doing here? Padme asked the hooded man. The hooded man stopped and looked at her. He balled his fist before he took a deep breath. The past was just that, the past. I don't know who you think I am, but I am no separatist senator. Naruto said, pulling his hood down. His face was emotionless, but they could all see the hidden anger in his eyes. The Duchess could also see that Padme's face was pale as white, like she had seen a ghost. Maybe it wasn't a good idea to have called them both at the same time. The tension was quite high in the room, and everyone could feel it, hell, they could almost see it. The cause was Padme and Naruto. Now then, I believe that it is time we begin. Satin said as she walked inside and sat on her throne chair. Padme was the first to speak. Duchess, if I may ask, why is he here? Padme asked, pointed Naruto who was sitting in of the chairs with his two commando droids standing next to him. Ah yes, Naruto, I have summoned you here because I was wondering if you would like to be the new governor of Concordia. She said, much to Padme's shock. No one saw Naruto's hidden smirk, everything was going according to plan. With all due respect Duchess, he is a Jedi and he's not even a Mandalorian. How can you give such a position to someone like that? Padme questioned. Bad call there. And that is where you are wrong. He is a former Jedi, and unlike most Jedis, he enjoys peace rather being on the front lines of a brutal war. He is also a Mandalorian by birth and blood. He is the perfect man for a position like that. Satine countered. Naruto however had anger building inside of him. How did Padme forget so easily of his heritage or even the fact that he was now former Jedi? But he's not even qualified for a political position. Padme was cut off as Naruto stood up. Senator, why are you so much against me on this matter? Naruto questioned with an emotionless look, but to her, she could see the anger. To be truthful, she was quite afraid of him right now. No, it's just that Mandalore and Naboo have a good relationship and I was just keeping the well-being of Mandalore in mind. She countered. Well then, let's leave that up to the Duchess. If she thinks I am up for it, then I will accept the position as governor of Concordia to keep the peace. Naruto said, turning towards the Duchess. Padme herself looked at her. Satine already knew her answer. I feel that he is well qualified for such a position. Satine gave her answer. Well then, there you have it. Naruto said, sitting back down. Naruto was celebrating over the little victory over Padme. Now then, let us all leave for a quick lunch, and after that, I can show Naruto his new office, you all are welcome to join. Satine said as she got up and led everyone to a different to eat. As everyone was heading there, Padme pulled Naruto over. Naruto, what are you doing here? And why were you expelled? Padme questioned him, but she flinched at Naruto's cold gaze. Why, what do you mean, Senator? Have you forgotten that I am Mandalorian by birth? As for me being expelled, I would have thought that your husband would have told you that, which is if you haven't betrayed him as well. Naruto answered, while saying the word husband with venom. A look of disbelief fell on her face. I would never betray Anakin. Padme yelled in a hushed voice. Naruto narrowed his eyes at that. Really, last time I checked, you betrayed me, my trust and my love. Naruto said in a cold voice. You know why I did that? I have loved Anakin and still love him. She countered. Then you didn't have to pretend to love me back then. You lied to me and in return to sleep with another man. I am surprised you haven't betrayed the Republic. Naruto said in a dark voice. That was a long time ago, Naruto, please forget the past, I still think of you as a friend. She pleaded. Naruto however turned around and headed to the other room. Too bad, you broke our friendship the moment you broke my heart. You are nothing more than just another senator. Naruto said. Then what is Anakin to you? Is he not a fellow Jedi like you? You and Anakin have fought side by side. Naruto, please, let go of this childish jealousy. You have to move on, Padme question begged. Naruto chuckled darkly, and it was at that moment that she knew that Naruto was a different man. A fellow GD, do you really take me as a fool? I know that he has been influenced by the dark side and has even used it before. I know many things about both of you. How do you think that the GD Console will feel knowing that one of their best is married to a senator? How do you think that Senate will feel about that? Anakin would be either forced to leave the order or he would be told to leave you. I wonder which he will choose. This isn't about a childish jealousy. I trusted you and you betrayed that trust. I have moved on from that past and from you. I don't care what you and Anakin do or whatever happens to both of you. You were dead to me, Padme, and the only reason I worked with him was because of the war and because we were GDs. He questioned, explained. A look of dread fell on her face. What happened to Naruto? You wouldn't, she said. Naruto looked at her before turning back around and heading to the other room. Oh, I would. He whispered loud enough for her to hear, confirming her fears. Naruto was now a wild card. He was different somehow and she didn't know what he would do, she didn't even know what she would do now. Maybe Anakin could help. A few hours later. Duchess, I would like to put in a request. I would like for all the guards to be replaced by my droids at the governor's palace on Concordia. No offense to the guards there, I just feel better to have guards that I know and programmed. Besides, I am sure those guards would be better suited here, on Mandalore, for the protection of the people that is. Death Watch might have been stopped for now, but they will return. Naruto requested, asked. Satine had a thoughtful look on her face. I would allow that if and on if your droids carry stun weapons, not blasters. Satine offered. That would be acceptable. Naruto said with a nod. He could feel Padme's displeasure about this whole event. Everything was going according to his plans and dare he say it was going better. His forces of droids were growing and his Mandalorian warriors were too. The next thing to do was get Death Watch under his control, and he knew how to do that. Juchi had allowed him to build his droid armies in the Pantora system, away from the eyes of the Republic and the GD. The next thing to do was go to Kamino. He had heard news of a few clones attacking their GD generals out of nowhere. One of them was being sent to Kamino, and he was going to retrieve the clone. That clone might hold the key to that old man's plan. Well then, I should be going now, I have some moving to do after all. Naruto said as he turned around and left the building heading back to his ship. Once he had left, Padme turned towards Satine. Duchess, are you sure you can trust him? She asked. Satine gave her a strange look. Why are you so against him taking that position? I have read his files from Obi-Wan. He is very good with politics. He's won more battles with words than battle and he prefers to live in peace. Besides, he was a GD once. He is perfect for a job like that. Satine assured, and that is what worried Padme the most. While Naruto was a very calm man, he was also a very deadly one. He has great control over his emotions, and as such, he was one hell of a politician with his poker face and bluffs. He was also a great gambler as well. If there was one thing that worried her more than that about him was that he knew secrets, a lot of secrets. About her, Anakin, the GDs, the Senate. He had dirty on many, but unlike a fool, he used those secrets when the time was right. But Naruto. Head to Concordia, I am going to Kamino. Naruto said as he went to the docking bay and entered inside the beat pit of a starfighter. Once he was in, he de-docked. The starfighters unfolded and its engine came to life. It formed a bee-like shape. This was the ASF-01B wing starfighter. This fighter is impressive, it's slow, but this fighter has greater firepower and it even has its own hyperdrive. I would ask why the Republic doesn't field such a starfighter, but then again, the Republic doesn't have the money or the time for such a starfighter to be produced. Naruto said to himself. This was the only B-wing in existence and he had acquired it, well, more like stole it. The Republic didn't know who stole it and they were not going to waste time going after something that wasn't going to do anything. Besides, the B-wing project was cancelled long ago over the V-19 Torrent starfighter. He had changed the color of fighter into black and orange. Punching in some numbers, he entered hyperspace and took in a deep breath. Padme had brought up some bad memories. Of a time he was young and innocent, of time when he wanted to be accepted, but ship used him like he was a tool, a means to an end. I will be no one's tool, I will show her what a Mandalorian can do, what a Mandalore can do. The ship exited out of hyperspace, and right before him was Kamino. Attention unknown ship, this is restricted space, leave now or be shot down. He heard a clone's voice. He then took in a deep breath, he hoped this work. This is GD Knight, Naruto. I was sent by the console to assist in any kind of training for the clones. Naruto said. Naruto hoped that this works. From his experience with Kamino, they did only one thing, produce clones. Sure, they kept up with the war news and all that, but never with GD news, so they had no way of knowing that he was expelled or that he was promoted. Understood, Commander, you are cleared to land. The clone stated. Naruto smirked. Oh, they knew nothing. He landed in one of the many hangars of the city that was built on Kamino's Sea of Endless Storms. Exiting, he made his way through the white halls of the cloning city and to cloning chambers. Entering, he started to go scan every growing clone in the tubes. There have been a few clones that have had this happened, and they all said they remembered nothing and kept repeating the same thing. Physical scans indicated that nothing was wrong with them physically, and stress was not a factor since they were bred to withstand it. So that leaves with one last place to look. He thought as the scans picked up something inside the heads of the later developing embryos. Bingo, inhibitor chips. Lay, old man, you have inhibitor chips inside these clones. He wants an army, and what better army than that which is led by Jedis. He's going to have these chips make the clones turn on their Jedi generals. Naruto though. Copying all the information he could, he started to make his way back to the ship, but when he rounded the corner, he was greeted with the sight of Jedi Master and Jedi Knight Shakti and Asila Sakura. Shit, he though. Padawan Naruto, what are you doing here? Shakti asked as she reached for her lightsaber. Asila did the same. Naruto however raised his hand. Wait, I am not here to fight, I just came here to find some information. Naruto said. That was not the right thing to say. Shakti and Asila activated their lightsabers. Naruto gulped. He might have been Jedi, but a Jedi without lightsabers was not that powerful. What kind of information? Asila asked as she pointed her lightsaber at him. Naruto just pulled out a data pad. Are you aware that the clones have inhibitor chips in their brains? He questioned as both of the Jedis raised an eyebrow. This was the first time they were hearing about inhibitor chips. Naruto took their silence as a no. He handed Shakti the data pad by using the force. That data pad has information that the Jedis would love to have. You see, the Sith have been plotting for quite a long time, and all of it has been done under your nose. Those chips inside those clones have an order called Order 66, and its job is to have the clones turn on their Jedi comrades. You can even find the chips inside the clones. Naruto said, shocking the two. They read the information on the data pad and could not believe it. It was all true, at least the chip part. What about the Sith? Shakti asked. The two Jedi noticed Naruto tense up. It's the old man, Palpatine. He is the one plotting this. Look, do not do anything rash just yet. I have plans to stop him, but I recommend you have these chips removed from your clones discreetly and not by the Kaminoans. They are with Palpatine. Naruto answered. Explain. And what are these plans? Asila asked, curious to know what these plans were. Build an army and kill Palpatine. Naruto said, shocking the two. Naruto, that is not the Jedi way. Shakti said sternly. I know, but I am not a Jedi, remember, Naruto reminded them, causing them to look down. Shakti, because Naruto was like a son to her, she was the only one who he wasn't so cold to like the rest, and Asila, because she had a crush on the fool, but the order would not allow relationships, so she kept it hidden. The being expelled hit her hard, but she refused to believe that he led his own troopers to their death. I am going to become Mandalore, I am going to lead Mandalore to a greater future, and I will be the one to save this galaxy from the Sith. Not the so-called chosen one the Jedis believe. If we are to save the Sith, then we must act and destroy the Sith, but even I know that my own army won't be able to stand up to the Republic or the Separatists. So I have to ask you two, will you help me? Naruto asked them. This was not part of his plan, but he figured that he would need as many allies as he could get, even if they were Jedis. You know we can't do that, Naruto, but we can take this information to the Jedi Council. We can bring down the Sith with this and maybe even allow you back in the Order. Shakti said. Naruto gritted his teeth. No, the council, they will only make a mess of this. The Jedi would be seen as murders of an old man who leads the Republic, and that old man knows it. Someone else must kill him and take the blame, not the Jedi, and even if the Jedi did bring him down, I will never join the Order. Naruto responded. He would not and will not go back to the Order. Naruto, please, we can stop the Sith, Asila begged, but it was useless. I will bring down the Sith. The Jedis believe too much in Anakin Skywalker to a point that his ego has grown unchecked. I won't sit back and wait for that fool to bring balance to the Force, I will do it myself. Naruto said. Shock sighed. Naruto was hard-headed and would not listen. Is this the only information you found and took? She asked him. Naruto nodded. She closed her eyes and took in a deep breath. Then you must leave now. You haven't committed any crime since you were a Jedi, and I was not aware of you being expelled, but you must leave now. Shakti said. Asila looked at her, shocked. Master Jedi. Why would you allow that? Asila questioned. She wasn't mad, in fact, she was quite happy about it, inside that is. I have my reasons, that was all, Shakti said. Naruto thanked her and walked past the two. You think that was the right choice? Asila asked. Shakti had a thoughtful look on her face. I don't know, but what I do know is that he will be a big player in the future, only time will tell, she answered. She didn't know what the future held, but she was going to get those chips out of her trooper's head. Asila was going to have the chips removed as well. They wanted to tell the GD Council, but like Naruto said, they would make things worse. For now, she and Asilla would do what they could. With Naruto boarded his ship and headed back to Mandalore. He leaned back inside. He did not expect Shakti and Asilla to be there, and now they knew. They didn't join him, but they didn't stop him either. He soon heard a beeping sound and looked at his control panel and pressed the button. "Naruto, I have some important information." He heard Bo. "And what's that?" Naruto questioned. "It's Vizsla, he seems to want revenge against the Dooku. He tried to get some help from a defector, but his plan failed. We found an escape pod and inside of it were two Zabrak, Sith from the lightsabers they had. Vizsla seems to have some kind of a plan for them," Bo said. "After the Death Watch was found on Mandalore's moon, they were forced to retreat to one of their many bases. Vizsla didn't die, but rather escaped. Naruto would let him live for now, but Vizsla would die by his hands. The man claimed himself to be the son of Mandalore. Foolish. If anyone was the son of Mandalore, it was Naruto. He was the descendant of Mandalore the Ultimate, the ruler of Mandalore. He had the blood of the true Mandalorians. He would be the one to rule Mandalore by the end of the day." His communicator started to beep again. "What is it?" he asked. "Sir, our spies have discovered that the Republic has found a strange beast, the Zillo Beast," a command droid said. "Don't tell me that you called me because of a monster that the Republic captured," Naruto said in annoyance. The droid shook its head. "No sir, the beast is a normal beast. The spies indicate that the beast's armor is stronger than any known armor, it can even withstand lightsabers," the droid reported. Naruto was now interested. If what the report said was true, then his fleets and even droids would be able to withstand more firepower. "How many ships do we have ready?" Naruto asked. The droid went through a datapad. "We have 6 Munificent class and 2 Providence class dreadnoughts," the droid answered. Naruto thought about it. "Ready the ships for a recover mission," Naruto said as the droid nodded. He quickly entered hyperspace and quickly met up with his fleet. Landing in the hangar bay of one of the Providence-class vessel, he made his way up to the bridge. The droid said the same old Roger, Roger. "Have 2 Munificent-class enter enemy space first, have the rest stand by," Naruto ordered as 2 of his ships entered hyperspace. "Republic fleet." "Sir, we got inbound enemy ships," a clone officer reported. Anakin looked out the bridge's viewport and saw 2 Munificents, he scoffed. "It's just 2 enemy ships, have our cruisers engage and destroy it," Anakin ordered. Munificents were weak ships in small numbers like these. "What about the transport?" the captain of the ship asked. "Don't worry about it, we are engaging the enemy, not the," Anakin said as his fleet of 2 GD cruisers chased after the 2 enemy ships. However, the strangest thing happened. The 2 droid fleets began to turn around and started to retreat into the asteroid field. "Are they retreating?" a clone officer said to himself. "Chase down those ships before they escape, they might aware other enemy fleets nearby, hunt them down," Anakin ordered as his ships went full speed ahead. With Naruto. "All ship attack," Naruto ordered as his ships entered hyperspace and quickly dropped behind Anakin's fleet near the undefended transport ship. "Launch the pods," Naruto ordered once again as pods filled with droids were launched at the transport ship. "Sir, more enemy ships just entered the battle space behind us," a clone officer said as the ship started to shake because of the enemy fire from the rear. "This is Zillo transport. We are being boarded by droids. We are being overrun. I repeat, we are being over." The transmission cut off as the sounds of blaster fire could be heard in the bridge. "Turn us around. We need to face the enemy ships and protect the transport," Anakin ordered as just as his ships were at halfway, the retreating droid ships turned around and started to open fire. "Who the hell is in charge of those droids?" Anakin asked, but got no response from anyone. Whoever was commanding the droid fleet was doing a great job at it. "Sir, the transport ship, it's going to jump," the clone officer yelled just as the transport ship entered hyperspace. Anakin's hand curled up into a fist. "Fall back. We are outmatched. Ready the hyperspace," Anakin ordered. His overconfidence led to the loss of a valuable asset that could have been used to save lives. "Contact General Windu's fleet, we lost the Zillo Beast," Anakin said with a defeated look. How could he let a bunch of droids beat him, and how was he able to so easily fall into a trap like that? He should have seen it coming. He is a GD, damn it, and he has a good track record of victories against the droid armies. "Sir, General Windu is on the line," a clone reported to him. He nodded and walked up to the communicator. "Skywalker, what happened?" Mace asked with narrowed eyes. Anakin sighed. "We were attacked by a droid fleet," Anakin said. "So? You should have been able to handle it," Mace said back. "Actually, the droid fleet outsmarted us and captured the Zillo Beast transport," Anakin responded. "What? Are you telling me that you lost a single transport ship? Skywalker, you must track that ship down. If they are able to make ships and droids out of the Zillo Beast's armor, the war would be much harder to end. May said with an annoyed tone. Anakin had one job and an easy job, but he failed that task. Ah, there is a problem with that, we don't know where the ship went. It's like they knew how to shut off any tracker, could be the work of a spy. Anakin said. Could be, but do what you can to find that ship. Mace ordered. Understood, Anakin said as he bowed his head. He was quite embarrassed to be outdone by a few droid ships. Let's link up with the main fleet, then we will go from there. Anakin ordered and turned around to look out the bridge of his ship. He needed to calm down. With Naruto. Naruto walked up to the sleeping beast and was quite impressed by the size of it. Impressive, such large beast, but something tells me that you are more than just a beast. Naruto though as he walked up to the beast's head. Just then, the beast's eyes opened and raised its head. The Zillo Beast narrowed its eyes on him and growled. Naruto took in a deep breath. I am not here to hurt you. You are intelligent and even you want to live like any other life form wants to, I will find a planet for you to live on in peace. Naruto said as he used the force to calm the beast. The zillion beasts looked at him and then gave somewhat of a nod and put his head back down. Naruto then sat down right in front of the beast and closed his eyes. There was an old force power that was long forgotten by the Sith and the Jedi. The force was in every living being and connected all living beings, and long ago, the very first force users developed a force ability that allowed them to understand any language or beasts in the galaxy. It was an old ability and was forgotten when protocol droids started to be used more and more. Using the old ability, he opened his eyes. I know you can understand me, and I will try to understand you. Tell me, are you the last of your kind? Naruto asked. The beast seemed to have a thoughtful look. Yes, I am, unfortunately. My kind was killed off many hundred years ago. The Zillo Beast replied. I see, that's a shame, our intelligent being, and it's a shame that people fear what they don't understand. Naruto said. The Zillo Beast seemed to be surprised that this human could actually understand him. I am impressed that you can actually understand me. The force must be strong with you if you can use an ability long forgotten. The beast said. Naruto nodded. He then talked a bit more with Zillo Beast. So tell me, Naruto, what is that you are after? You saved me and are just going to let me go like that? It can't be that easy. The Zillo Beast said with what Naruto assumed was a chuckle. Like I said, you are intelligent. I do want something, your armor. It can resist fire from blasters and even lightsabers. I won't kill you and take you armor, but rather, I am asking you if you can give me some of your armor plating. I want to recreate it for my armies. Naruto answered the beast's question bluntly. I see, I can give you my armor platings, however you will only get it when my skin sheds, like any other creature, even I shed skin. The Zillo Beast answered. Naruto nodded. I thank you. As for the planet, one of Pantora's moon is a perfect place for you. It's uninhabited, so you should be able to live in peace. Naruto said as he stood up. The Zillo Beast nodded and watched as Naruto headed back to the bridge of the ship. As Naruto headed to the bridge, he saw many dead clones, laid side by side. He stopped and looked at the many dead clones. Forgive me, Naruto said, sadness clear in his voice. He had fought with clones side by side, and it saddened him that he had to kill them. The least he could give them were proper burial. Their deaths might have been on his hands, but Sidious was the mastermind behind this war, and he would make him pay for every life lost. End chapter. So this part ends here. If you want to see next part of this series, like the video now and share the story with your friends. Bye bye.